working together for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and then we separate. We kind of like live and breathe in our own environments and kind of like, yeah, just get to reflect a little bit. And then when we come back to work, it's always fresh and new and exciting. I think we can just communicate without using words now. Like we just like I just know when he's like doing something. He knows probably when I like something, and yeah, it's like an unspoken language now. Like if you have these ideas and want to get them out, like you should be able to do that on your own and not have to rely on anybody else.
Hey, this is Foreign Air, and you're listening to The Makings of an Artist.
Maybe a dead president with crocodile tears and alien sightings in Oklahoma City. A Cadillac on fire and a pistol in the river. I could keep rattling on. The baby is rattling on. For too long. Too long.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Makings of an Artist podcast. My name is Sebastian Cowsill, and today we have with us the indie pop, electro-alt, whatever you want to describe you guys as, the duo Foreign Air. Guys, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thanks for having us.
Before we get into anything, for those who don't know you guys, could you say your names and your role in the group?
I'm Jesse. I sing and produce, play guitar, drums, piano, and the computer.
Hey, I'm Jacob. I play bass and synths and fun stuff like that.
So with everyone, I like to start at the beginning of their journey. And for you guys, that beginning was what happened while you guys were in two different bands. Is that right?
Kind of, yeah. Like we were in different bands for a very long time separately, and then when those kind of ended at the same time, we started sending ideas back and forth. I was living in Washington, D.C., and Jesse was living in North Carolina at the time. So a lot of it was just like sending ideas back and forth through Dropbox, and then we started driving down to each other's places and kind of just like working for a couple days at a time.
Yeah, so we met probably over 11 years ago now, because we just ended up on a show together in different bands, and just started a friendship and kept in touch. And when you're in a touring band, you have friends all over the place, and especially when it's like DIY, kind of like more punk in the beginning, when we're like, in our later teens and stuff, it's like you crash on each other's couches and help each other get shows, and you meet so many people that way when you're touring. And so like Jake was saying, once our band sort of fizzled out, and he never stopped making music, so I would send him ideas. And I think his first trip down to North Carolina, we wrote Free Animal, which was our first song.
Mm-hmm. So you guys have been doing the bi-coastal thing and still do. What are the difficulties that kind of come with that?
Flying. Flying's been the major thing, but like you just get used to it. And I think we like working together for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and then we separate. We kind of like live and breathe in our own environments and kind of like, yeah, just get to reflect a little bit. And then when we come back to work, it's always fresh and new and exciting. I always look forward to like flying out to work and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then like, yeah, it's always like new and fresh, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So did you say you were working on Foreign Air stuff while you were still in bands, or after those bands broke up?
After those bands broke up. But during that whole period, I had been writing a lot of songs outside of that band that I was in, because whenever I was home, I was just writing music every day. So over the years, I would send Jake things, just to say, hey, check this out, But it wasn't really until those bands stopped playing that I guess we really had time to think about working on something else.
I remember it being like a pretty weird time for both of us, because we had been in our previous bands for probably almost 10 years each, maybe Jesse even longer. And yeah, like when that ends, like you plan on that being like your life. You know what I mean? Like you put all your time and money and effort into that thing, and you just think it's going to be forever. And I remember when it ended, just being like not knowing what was next was kind of terrifying. And so Jesse, I think, just like randomly hit me up one day with some new ideas, and I'd been a fan of his as a musician and vocalist for a real time. And yeah, it just was kind of exciting, and just like I think we were both in the same place too, which was also exciting for both of us. And we were also trying to do something different than the last projects we were in. And so everything just kind of like aligned at the right time. And we just got like drum synths and drum machines, and just kind of got more into recording and stuff like that, and started writing songs to just learn how to use the different instruments and learn how to use the new program, and just kind of just experiment, really. So it was almost like it was very like we were kids again, essentially, just like falling in love with like a new sound and a new way to do it and new tools. And
yeah, it wasn't at all like, oh, let's start a band or let's start a project. It was just like Jake was like, what do you think if I come down to North Carolina and like just work,
hang
see
out,
what happens,
yeah.
like work on these songs that you were sending. And we didn't have a name or anything. It wasn't like, because you're in a band for 10 years and you're making records, and like what Jake's saying back then, when you're in a band and it's like a drummer, bass player, maybe 2 guitar players, a singer, that mindset is like you're in a room, there's 5 personalities making music, and then you go and live in a studio for 2 months, with a producer and record a record. And then you're always chasing the next thing. It's like, how can we get bigger or do this thing? But when you first start, you're just a bunch of kids in a room having fun, and that's kind of like going back to those roots with all new instruments. Was it's like, let's have fun and learn how to produce on our own and just make music. But then Free Animal, the first song, got passed around from a friend of Jake's, and Billboard wanted to premiere it, and we didn't even have a name. But we thought we should jump on that opportunity. So we were like, oh, what should we call it? And they were asking for like our socials, like Facebook and Instagram. We didn't have any.
Yeah, when Billboard calls, you got to get it.
You answer, right? Yeah, Foreign Air was always just like a folder that I guess Jesse kind of came up with the name around that idea of what we were doing. And we just save songs under. So like last minute under pressure, we just, it was go.
How long was that freak out between when those brands broke up and when you guys started doing your thing?
Probably like 8 months. Yeah. Like 6 to 8 months or something like that.
Okay, so not too long.
Yeah.
In an interview with Vince Magazine, Jesse, you said, Foreign Air is Jake and I battling it out. I like drawn out, developing experimental music with a lot of changes, and he wants to have the head bob and beat with a strong lyric / melody repeating. Would you say this is still the case?
I would say so, yeah. Like, I feel like Jake's always the anchor that's like, asking the questions like, what are you trying to say? Because I'm very okay with a lot of lyrics being very vague and just painting a strange picture, and Jake's really good at like trying to bring it down to earth just enough. And I think similar with the music, as well. And just like, I could see when we're together and maybe I'm improvising, singing over it, like reading his face, or he'll vocally let me know when he's like, oh, that melody right there, was something special. Like, let's go back to that. And sometimes we'll like record 30 takes of me just singing over a chorus and going through and us both needing to be very excited about what the one is and where we need to go from there.
I think that's kind of been our process, is like we just work and like hash things out until like we're both excited about it. Cause like we both kind of are different and like different things about the same thing sometimes. So it's like, I think when we're both like really excited about some idea and like you kind of see it in each other, like that's the direction. That's like the jump, we like to call it, where that's what we're chasing, what we're following, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Has that harmony between you two and your vision for the music improved over the years? Has it kind of synced up a little more? Or?
I think we can just communicate without using words now. Like we just like I just know when he's like doing something. He knows probably when I like something, and yeah, it's like an unspoken language now.
Now, when I was doing my research, I saw there was a few constant words that came up when describing your guys' music. Alt, pop, indie, rock, a few others here and there, but those seem to be electronic. Can't forget that one. Those seem to be constants. Would you say those accurately describe your guys' sound?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very birthed in we were both born in the 80s, so that the late 90s, early 2000s was, really our coming of age in music, and I think it definitely comes to the surface, because when you think about music on the radio and alternative music in those days, it was like you had Radiohead coming out, and just I don't even know how to describe it, like going from what was it, the Bends to like OK Computer and Kid A, and then you had like rock sort of starting to blend with MPCs in a way, like with artists like Beck. So I think it's just that sort of culmination of alternative rock and this electronic hip hop thing a little bit that, is just something nostalgic that we love. And it's definitely the major inspiration, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like I remember being at a certain age where I was listening to rock music, and then I heard certain hip hop records, and I was like only listening to hip hop that year. And it was like very night and day. And then right after that, I started listening to like punk music, and that was like very night and day. And just being able to jump between genres. I think they call it like the iPod generation, because like you had everything on your iPod, so you can just like flip through. So yeah, just going through phases.
I think too, with those words that describe you guys and the amount of influences you have, it's obvious that it really does show in your music. Your music is very diverse, and I don't think you can really say one song sounds exactly like the other or comes from the same place as the other. With this diversity in your sound, was this something that came natural, or was this something you kind of aimed for when you were starting to create your music?
I think it was natural for sure.
Yeah, I think it was just trying to figure it out. Like we didn't really have a specific sound or goal in mind. Like there were no limitations when we started Foreign Air. So we were just trying to experiment and try to figure out what it was. We're also learning how to work with each other at that time too. So it was much embedded into like acoustic, like drums and live instrument, like live guitar and live bass. Then also mixing in some like VST synths and some like Moog stuff that we were kind of getting into. So I think we're just exploring and figuring out and exploring those instruments and sounds, like sprung songs. So like one song would be like super synth heavy, like a chakra, and then another thing could be like more organic, like I don't know, Lion or something.
Yeah.
Were the bands you guys were in before, were those related to the music you were making now, or is this sound that you guys make completely unique to you guys?
Oh, it's completely different.
Yeah, completely different. I remember like the old band I was in, I was like trying to get into like Moogs and synths and stuff like that, and they were just like kind of like, "What are you doing?" kind of thing. So it's very different.
Yeah, I think the music's very different, but in the same token, it's like what we brought from those days was songwriting, and always getting better at songwriting, and or how to be different than we were, I guess.
Yeah,
songwriting wise. And a huge thing with that band situation is, like I was saying before, you have like 4 or 5 personalities in a room all trying to write a song together, and now it's like just us two, or maybe we're not in the same room and it's just you and your laptop, and you're going to get up and share it online or meet up later. So it's like a whole new way to make music, the way the laptop has sort of become a band member in a way. I think that also is what makes this generation so like collaborative in a new way, where a lot of artists do things with other artists because it can be lonely to be, a one person studio. And so you want to like add a third person for a day, and, we'll do a lot of co-writing sessions. And I'm sure people were doing that back in the day, but we weren't, because we already had 5 personalities in a band. You don't want like you're already adding a 6th one if you go to work with a producer. When you capture that live sound in a studio. But now I think a lot of people are hungry to collaborate because everyone's making their records on their own.
Mm-hmm. To go off that, or is there anybody you guys would dream collaborations?
There's so many, but I think like even the stuff we're doing now is always so interesting because everyone works in a different way and has a different background, and it's always like fresh energy in the room. So I think we just feed off that energy. But yes. there's some big names I'd love to work with. Like I love to work with Pharrell. That'd be super exciting for me. So many.
It's like
Fly Low would be great. Like Flying Lotus would be dope. Different spectrums too.
St. Vincent would be cool.
Yeah, that would be dope. A couple questions here that I like to ask all my guests. The first one is, what advice would you give to new artists today?
Just keep going. That's the only thing. Like the further you get to your goal, the closer you get to your goal, there's more and more obstacles. And at the end of the day, like it's just about you and your songs. Like that's your currency. That's what you're worth to all these different people that want to help. And if you keep writing great songs and keep going and keep putting out music, like you'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like all the rest, like there's nothing to book without your songs. There's nothing to promote, take to radio. So it's always about you, your art, and your message. And if you just keep doing that, you'll be fine.
Yeah. And I would say watch a lot of YouTube tutorials.
Yeah. Lots of YouTube tutorials.
Learn, like always feed yourself and get better, with everything. Your instrument, your recording program.
I think Jesse's right too. Like that was the biggest mistake that I look back on when I was like coming up, is like having to rely on someone to be able to record yourself. Like if you have these ideas and want to get them out, like you should be able to do that on your own and not have to rely on anybody else. And I think technology and stuff has changed a lot over the last like decade, but yeah, just being able to like get your ideas out and how they sound in your head is so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, it really is that third band member nowadays. It's so essential. My second question, though, is the reason why you guys are here today. By the time this episode comes out on all major streaming services, you will have your first single out in a minute. What can you tell me about it? What's it called? What's it about?
The song's called The Apartment, and it's about a breakup, basically, and all the debacles that come with a breakup when you're living with someone. Anyone that's been through that, it's like a bittersweet thing, and you have all these shared items, and all your memories are in this place. So the song, message-wise, is just about dealing with that and being able to get through it and knowing that it's what should happen, and maybe you're better people as individuals than when you're together. You can bring out a lot of the, I guess you would say, bad parts of each other's personalities if you're not really meshing well.
Yeah, we wrote the song pretty organically. Like we went over our friend Leo's house, and I think he had kind of been going through a breakup, and he woke up that day, like probably like I think like 10 minutes before he got there, a little hungover kind of thing, just like been going through it, And I remember just like sitting in his studio and just kind of talking, and it kind of just inspired this idea, and then we just kind of like wrote that song in a single day, and that was kind of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been working on this single?
It's hard to say because we'll kind of like write a song in a day or two, and then you put it away and catalog it and go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's sat on a hard drive for like a year almost, maybe a little, around a year. And then our manager pulled it back and sent it to us and was like, I think this is really strong. You should revisit it. And I think we just touched up the production at Jesse's house, and Jesse had his friend come by and play violin on the song, and kind of just like gave it like a breath of fresh air again. And yeah, I think we kind of felt good about it as being like the first single.
Now, when you say first single, really to my follow-up question, can you tell us if there are any more on the way?
Yeah, we have a full album coming out, slated for this fall, finally. Yeah, we wrote one album and kind of scrapped it. Like,
it's hard to stay passionate about music when you write every day. If if you don't get it out fast enough, you get really burnt out on it. And then, like we would write a bunch of songs, get everything together, get a plan, and then go on a tour, play those songs, then go out maybe to Nashville, write 30 songs, get real stoked on those songs, then be like, forget these old songs. These are special, So we had a little situation like that. And I think right now we're at a good place where we're excited about the music at the time. We have the opportunity to put it out, and it's finally gonna work.
Yeah, the first like 4 or 5 songs we're about to put out, I feel like we just like felt really good about as a whole. Like the production, I felt like was at like our best that we had been able to do it. And then I felt like the songwriting, and then we found a great mixer to collaborate with, is Tony Hoffer. So like when everything just kind of came together around these new batch of songs, and that's kind of why we decided to put an album together.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask you guys that because while I was doing my research, I saw 2016 articles where it was saying we'll have an album out by 2017, and then 2017 we'll get one out by 2018. So
yeah, it's slated for the fall, and the first single comes out February 27th.
Very exciting. That's awesome. Well, we are very excited to see what you drop this year and all. But thank you guys so much for coming onto the show and telling your story for those who may not know. For those who want to look you up, what's your social media and stuff? What is your at?
We're always on Instagram. That's kind of the easiest way to get in touch with us. It's just foreign_air. Super simple. We're going to have a new website with a phone number on it too. So we're going to be texting a lot more and just,
awesome.
Doing stuff like that.
Well, everyone go check them out there. Go stream their new single on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your music. And again, guys, thank you so much for spending some time with me today.
Yeah, thanks so much
for having us. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You guys have a good one.
Yeah, good luck with the podcast.
Thank you. Good luck with your guys' music. I'm excited.
Cool. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
A very special thank you to Foreign Air for coming on the show, and thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on social media, and throw us some downloads and ratings on iTunes. Become a member of our Patreon as well to get these episodes a week early, as well as other perks like monthly bonus episodes, merch, and more at patreon.com/MOAA. As always though, we'll see you in the next episode.